Right now on Denver 7 News at 6 a.m. Rising prices at the pump
What is it, $4 a gallon now is what I'm seeing?
creates pain for the pocketbook.
It's going to be pretty expensive.
This morning, we're taking a 360 in-depth look at gas prices, breaking down the lowest costs you can find across Colorado and the reasons behind the spike.
Plus, will these rising costs be enough for you to change your driving habits? I'm Denver 7's Christian Lopez. The tough choices drivers are facing.
And if you're looking for more affordable ways to get around, we're comparing public transportation costs to convenience. Yeah, certainly a lot to think about on your commute, but wait until you hear what a lot of our viewers are saying about the sacrifice of higher gas prices. It's very interesting to hear about, kind of explains the humanity that we're seeing around the world.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Jason Luber still won't give me a ride to work every day. I've been asking, but.
That's a totally different issue.
Yeah. Would save us all money. Well, we're going to see a brief break from the moisture today before we get another storm making another mess on the roads tomorrow. Lisa, today we'll enjoy it.
If he's picking you up, he could then grab Bry Guy and
Yep.
then get me. I mean,
That's right.
We all got to make
All right.
sacrifices,
Just
Jason.
a big clown car, yeah.
I promise I'll bring you money for gas. You know, when you bring a bag of pennies like you did when you were a kid to your friends. We've got temps in the teens, beautiful out there this morning, lots of sunshine. This afternoon will be at about 40 degrees by the time your kids are getting home. A mild day. We'll see a little increase in some high cloud cover this afternoon. Here's a look at that warm up, getting to just above freezing by about 11 o'clock, close to 40 this afternoon. It's the warmest day of the week. Things are going to get colder with this next storm that's going to roll in tomorrow. 20s in the mountains today. Snow is going to develop there a little later today, and we have a number of alerts going into effect. I'll show you that in here in just a minute. That's at about 5 o'clock tomorrow night, just in time for the evening commute. It's going to be pretty icy. And no joke, Jason, I tried to pay for a tank of gas with a bag of pennies once. And the guy at the gas station was like,
No, thanks.
seriously, kid, get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, and if everybody wants to jump in the old Volt, that's just fine. We can all pool together. All right, right now you can see from Air Tracker 7, there's 120th at I-25. The headlights of the folks heading south to 104th. Not too bad of a drive yet. The northbounders heading away from us towards 136th up that way. And you can see the overall drive doesn't look too bad for us here this morning. But 270, as we take a look from the camera there at York, starting to get busier. Very typical passing the refinery. Not really tight stop and go traffic just yet. And look at the road conditions compared to yesterday, so much better, and the drive times reflect it. You can see maybe a couple extra minutes on 270, but everywhere else around town, it looks so much better than it did yesterday, including to or from the airport. So a nice quiet start, and I am not seeing people in the ditch, which is also a good start here to the morning commute.
Well, right now we are all feeling the squeeze at the gas pump, and depending on where you live, gas prices have jumped 40 to 65 cents in just the last week.
So this morning, we're going 360 in depth on the rising cost of filling up your tank. We'll break down prices today, what's behind the latest increase, some potential solutions from the Biden administration, and how prices are already impacting our driving habits.
I want to start with what we're paying right now. This is the latest map from AAA, and the red areas in the state are where the prices are the highest, mostly in the mountain communities. The lowest prices, meanwhile, are along the Front Range in Adams and Weld counties.
Today, the average for regular in Colorado is $3.84 a gallon. That's up 45 cents in a week. But for some context, that is still below our record high set back in July of 2008. The average price then was $4.09 a gallon. With prices rising, we wanted to know if Colorado drivers are ready to seriously change their habits to save some money.
Denver 7's Christian Lopez joins us with how this increase could lead to some tough choices for us as consumers.
Yeah, we may be at that point for a lot of people. A recent survey showed that Colorado drivers said that they would change their driving habits if gas prices reached around $3.75. And we were at that price yesterday, and in just one day that went up 9 cents. And that same survey done by AAA showed that Colorado drivers said that they would do things like drive less, carpool, and sign up for fuel rewards programs to try to save some money. Now, your first thought when prices jump like this may be to just use less gas, but that's often not an option for people, and records from the federal government showed that to be the case even when records were set back in 2008. Consumption stayed constant. So what does get cut? Well, an article from the New York Times profiled people who were trimming their budgets to make room for spending on gas. Dining out, shopping, and leisure travel were among the first things to go, and we heard some of the same here.
As a retiree, I travel around town, but that's about it. It's not a problem for me right now. If it gets much higher, yeah, we probably won't travel much.
And some estimates show that people could lose around $2,000 each a year if these gas prices don't ease up. Reporting live in Denver this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Yeah, when you add it up like that, that's significant. Thanks, Christian. We want to take a closer look at what's driving the increase. AAA said it's not just the war. We already had a supply and demand problem. On the supply side, OPEC is promising only modest production increases. Meanwhile, more people are driving to work and traveling, causing an increase in demand. And now you add in a global crisis caused by Russia.
We only get historically about 4% of our oil from Russia, but 10% of the world's oil is from Russia. And remember, we're competing against every other country and every other oil user out there for oil to make gasoline. It is something we're going to feel every time we fill up. It's also going to continue to drive inflation on all our other goods and services that rely on gasoline and crude oil to be shipped around.
Russia is having a big impact on prices, but the United States is the world's largest producer of oil. AAA says part of the problem is U.S. oil companies.
And while there is some increased production, many of the major oil development corporations and companies in the United States are opting not to produce more oil right now because they benefit from selling it at this very high price. Crude is trading at $120 right now. So if you're getting mad at anybody, I would say get mad at folks who are trying to make a dime for their shareholders at the expense of your wallet.
And one more thing to think about, Russia also sells natural gas. Last week, that hit a record high price in Europe. It was 10 times the price Europe was paying about a year ago.
As our gas prices push higher, both of Colorado's Democratic U.S. senators say they support the U.S. banning imports of Russian oil. The House could vote on a similar proposal today. The White House says President Biden hasn't decided whether or not to impose a ban on Russian oil imports. Coming up in our next half hour, we're diving into what your alternative transportations are besides just driving solo. You can see our full 360 in-depth coverage on the rising cost of gas right now on thedenverchannel.com.
This morning, Ukrainian officials are warning about a humanitarian catastrophe. In a city north of Kyiv, officials say as many as 100,000 people may be trapped. Some have already gone a week without water or electricity. Russia declared a temporary ceasefire to allow civilians in Ukraine's 5 worst-hit cities to leave. Leaders in Ukraine are skeptical, though, since previous ceasefire efforts have failed. The UN says at least 2 million people have now fled the country. Governor Polis has said Colorado would welcome refugees. He will visit Wake and Take Coffee today. It's a Ukrainian-owned business in Aurora. He'll talk about what the state and what Coloradans can do to support Ukrainians.
Boulder County is making some progress in the Marshall Fire debris cleanup. It says it's finished applying hydro mulch to properties in both Louisville and Superior. That mulch helps prevent toxins from the ash and debris from being moved by the wind or draining into our local waterways. Meanwhile, there is a new hearing set for the lawsuit over Boulder County's debris removal contract. That suit claims county commissioners improperly convened executive sessions to talk about the contract with the company based out of Louisiana. The debris removal process was supposed to start last week. The hearing is now set for March 18th.
Timed entry tickets could be coming to El Dorado Canyon State Park. The Colorado Sun reports the tickets will be needed on weekends during the summer. Online reservations would be free, but cars would be limited to a few hundred a day in an effort to reduce traffic. Rocky Mountain National Park already has a timed entry system during the summer.
We are expecting more snow. Speaking of Rocky Mountain National Park, that's one of the spots that's going to see some winter weather advisories. And take a look at Futurecast by late day tomorrow afternoon and into the evening. Many alerts will be in place by that point. We're going to see well over a foot across some of the high country and down across the plains here in town. At this point, Jason, it looks like around 2 to 6 inches. I'll show you more on the timing of this next storm coming up in just a few minutes.
A really gorgeous sunrise right now, but no direct sun glare to slow us down on the eastbound routes down through the Denver Tech Center, northbound right here at Arapahoe, the southbound side looking fine. Arapahoe Road under I-25, also all the way over to Parker Road looks just fine. So a quiet start for the most part. We'll take a look at some of that traffic volume for you coming up in just a minute.
It's Consumer Protection Week across Colorado, and we're taking a look at the biggest risky scams of 2021.
Plus, a Colorado teenager is making a name for himself on the international stage of bocce ball.